Michael Jacob's Run, back for a second go at a new album. This is going to be pretty exciting to talk about. Welcome to Noise11, Michael.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for having me.
You know, I was really impressed by A, the sound of the production of the record, B, how catchy the songs are on this record. How long ago did you start to work on this when you decided, hey, time for a new album?
As far as the songwriting is concerned, never stopped. We released our first record 2019, which was, just in time for the pandemic. So we couldn't do much after that. But I guess 2021, we decided that 2022, perhaps, we decided that we wanted to, start thinking about recording again. I'd kept writing songs through that pandemic period. We couldn't rehearse, obviously, so I was demoing them at home. And we decided that it's time for a new record, time to put new music out. We love the recording studio, so we were itching to get back in there. And here we are.
Well, this album is more cinematic. It's more orchestral. Is that something that sort of came naturally as you were writing the songs, or did you decide to add that on after the production had already started?
So the decision to use a real orchestra came a little bit later. But when I was writing the songs, I did have an orchestra in mind, particularly with the ballady mid-tempo songs. Got through that, I suppose, body of work, or the 19 or 20 songs that we were going to present to the production team. And that's when I said to the guys, I said, guys, I think this time around I'd really like to put it out there that we'd like a real orchestra on this record, just take it to the next level. And fortunately, they agreed. And so we just got a real 32-piece orchestra on it this time around. So thought we'd take it to the next level. A bit of a bucket list item for me too. I've always wanted to record with a real orchestra, so amazing experience.
Working with Mark Opitz, legendary record producer, you would have had an idea of what these songs were going to sound like. What direction did Mark take it into, other than what you were thinking it was going to go into, that surprised you?
I think the first thing Mark did was listen to the songs, listen to the body of work, and listen to the presented songs, and decided there and then what the concept of the album would be, or the concept of this record would be. He's very much likes cohesion in an album, very, very much points towards critical definition of the record, whether it's going to be majestic, I think was one of the words he was using, epic, and kept reminding us of that as we were recording the record, right through the mixing process, recording the orchestra. So he had a vision in mind, and of the 20 songs that we presented, I think we were down to 9 or 10. And the thing that he focused on most was a cohesive body of work. Yeah, just took it to the next level.
Because there's a lot of moving parts in this record, with the orchestra, with a rock band, just the additional vocals, Susie Ahern coming in there, and, adding to that entire mix. That's a lot of moving parts. Did you have a vision for how the end game was going to sound as you were recording these?
I think we actually did. I think we knew it was going to be a big sounding record, a big sounding landscape. But as we were going through it, of course, I reckon Mark definitely knew what he wanted out of it and what he wanted it to sound like. For example, one of the big influences that Mark had on the sound of this record was that we talked about Susie Ahern and her backing vocals. He said, I don't want them to be backing vocals. I want them to be front and center. I want it to sound like Susie's just right behind you singing those harmony parts, not from, across, I remember he said, not from across the football field. So there were real moments when Mark had this definitive vision of the soundscape of the record. And that was one of the, few examples, and the songs are so much better for it.
Your songs are a lot about longing, love and loss. What new themes or perspectives did you decide to bring to the other side?
I think even the title itself sort of lends itself to where we were at as a band and as people, coming out of the other side of the pandemic, I mean, we all went through a lot there, coming out of the other side of some relationships and some of the personal things that we'd experienced, not just together as a band, but individually. I think it is a deeply personal record. It's always hard to write those types of songs, but for me, it's almost like a purge. And I remember Mark saying in the studio that when you sing me that song, make me believe it, and when you tell me a story, make me believe it. And like I said, I think he brought the best out of all of us. And the record's a lot more personal, and I think it's whereas the first record, you write songs and it's an eclectic mix because it's your first record and there's a mix. I think this record was a snapshot. It was a point in time.
So how far into the recording process did you actually feel that you'd reached the turning point with this record?
Well, on this record, unlike the first one we were tracking individually and we were layering. Mark's a big vibe guy. So he wanted us to be in the studio all together recording everything live. I think it was after that first week where we sat back and listened to what we had played, listened back to the songs, and it kind of jumped out at us what this record should be sounding like. I think that was the turning point where we all sat down, listened back to that first week, and crafted the record from there.
Your Italian heritage, how much did that play into the songwriting process for this record?
For me, it's always been a big influence on my songwriting. I'm a big fan of Italian artists like Eros and Zucchero and Ruff and Georgia. A lot of that soundscape is very orchestral, very melodic, very lush production, definitely an influence. And I think for a long time, I mean, I've been following those artists since the 80s, so it's just part of my DNA, I think. So it definitely comes out in the songs, definitely comes out in what the vision for the songs, etc.
What about Phil and Dragon? What was their part in sort of fleshing out the sound for this record?
Again, with this record, couldn't really rehearse a lot in the early days because of the pandemic, so demoed a lot of the songs in the studio, had a few orchestral or hook lines that I'd put in, sent them through to Dragon, who also plays with us live, so and Phil as well. I just sort of gave them free rein. I said, well, you're the keyboardist, pianist, make it your own. Dragon was the same, got into the pre-production and then just rehearsed the songs before we went into the studio. So they sort of added their own flavors and really talented musicians.
But you call this band a band without an ego. How important is that sense of brotherhood then for you with this group?
It's so important. We've known each other since we were teenagers. For two reasons. I think it's important for two reasons. The first reason is because just of the band. Yeah, no one wants to be out front all the time. We share the love, we share the spoils, all of that sort of stuff. But I think just as importantly is because we are who we are and we've known each other for such a long time, it helps with the songs because we play for the songs. Fabian doesn't want to have a drum solo or wants his drums out loud on every song, and Pete doesn't want his bass lines, running all over the place. We play for the song, we respect the song. For example, on one of the songs on the new record, Love You This Way, Pete and Fab say, I don't think we should be playing on this song. I think it's better just stripped back with you and Phil and the orchestra. We'll just get in the way. And I think it's that selflessness, I guess, that we abide by all the time because we want to do what's best for the song.
I know you're a big Snow Patrol fan. What do you take from them that can be applied to this band?
I just wish I could write lyrics like Gary. He's just an amazing lyricist, amazing. I think what I love about Snow Patrol is the emotion and the largeness of a lot of the songs. If you look at Run, Amazing song. If I could write lyrics like Gary, I'd be pretty happy. But no, I love Snow Patrol, great band.
The first record was sort of the announcement that you'd arrived. That arrival announcement did spread to the US. I think it was, quite a bit of interest coming out of Texas, of all places. Were you surprised by that?
Yeah, you're always sort of, well, why are we getting played over there, and why Texas and not somewhere else? I was pleasantly surprised, by the way, and we actually travelled over there and played a few shows in Texas, and they love the Aussies and they love Aussie music, that's for sure. Yeah, don't know why. There's no rhyme and reason. I just think they picked up on some of our songs and went from there.
So, what are the live music plans as the months roll out now that the record's here?
Yeah, well, the first thing we need to figure out is how we're going to recreate some of that orchestral stuff that's on this record.
Oh, just take the 32-piece orchestra on the road.
That's
simple.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that, yeah. But even the first record had a bit of orchestra on it, and we take Phil and Dragon out live with us, so it's 5-piece. We're rehearsing at the moment for some live shows towards the end of the year, so had to shake out the cobwebs a little bit, get back into the rehearsal studio, and hopefully we'll have some live shows late this year and moving into next year.
Is every song on this record recorded to be played live?
Yeah, I think so. We like to change it up a little bit. In one of the songs there's a choir, so I don't know if we could do that again, but yeah, we want to play them all live. Some of them will have a different iteration, but yeah, we'd love to tour the album as well as play songs from the first one as well, of course.
Well, Michael, good to catch up. The Other Side is the new album, and it's been a few years, but it's finally here. So good to see you again.
Thank you, Paul, and great to see you again. And we really, really appreciate the support, mate.